Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is Lilo Siegel. In case if you have not seen me yet, I like to say a special welcome to you and to everybody who's been joining me so far. As I have a tip for you today, again about good sewing, how you can make it easy for yourself to really get your stitches nice and even. So the question is, what are you using as a guide when you like to stitch along an edge? Do you have a guide on your machine? Or do you work with templates? Or will I advise to you that to use both of them is the very best? I will show this to you on my industrial sewing machine, but then somebody's going to say, well, I don't have an industrial machine, so how can I do this on my household machine? And exactly therefore, for that reason, I will show you exactly the same thing as well on a normal household sewing machine. So you can make the choice which to use, how to use it, and believe me, this is a video not only for you in case if you're a good seamstress already. This is only a good video for all of those who are just starting, because I always like to give you tips and hints how you can make all your works in the sewing much easier and therefore much nicer to look. So do you feel like watching my video? Then please stay tuned, because I will show it to you right now. Here we go. With the industrial sewing machine, I always have loads and loads of possibilities of having a guide for my machine. As you can see, different ones right here. The three that you see here, they're being fastened directly on the foot pressure holder, which is back here. There's different ways of fastening it as well. And of course, you always have the possibility of using just a magnet as a guide, or you have, similar to your household sewing machine, a guide that you can push directly through the foot that you got and then adjust the width as you need it. For my demonstration here today, I will be using this particular foot, but it would make no difference if I would be using any of the others, just so you know. And I prepared something for you here. Well, if you have anything stitched like that and you want to go around this in a certain distance, not on the edge, in a certain distance, you can do this, of course, with any of your normal guides, or even with a magnet one, as if that is on your sewing machine on your table, you can easily go around and stitch this. But what happens when you have a curve that goes towards the other side? Then it is a problem, because you cannot stitch, let's say you want to stitch in a 2 centimeter width, and you got your guide there on the sewing machine, then you can't get around this corner. It is impossible. And that is why you need a template. And to make the template is then the easiest thing and to use as well. As you can see, I prepared something right here for you. So this is my template, which I used to stitch exactly my curve, my hole here. I ironed it over already. So I take a new piece of paper, a stiff one, as you can see, a cardboard, kind of thin cardboard, and I first make the mark of my exact curve that I stitched here. And now I make another mark of the width, how I want to do the stitching around my part that I got here. And that I got to cut out, and I will show it to you then how easy it is to stitch this on my industrial as well on my household sewing machine. So I would like to start on my industrial sewing machine. You can see my template, it's finished cut on 2 centimeter widths, and you can also see my guide on the sewing machine, which I exactly put on 2 centimeters away, measured from my needle. And if I explain and show to you how easy it is, of course, with any kind of guide, no matter if you have this one directly hung on your foot or if you use a magnet, that is the same, because this particular curve, which goes towards the outside, is so simple to stitch no matter which width you would like to do it with. You just take your time, go slowly around the curve, and don't forget, whenever you have to maybe lift the foot for getting better around the curve, then of course you have to have your needle stuck in the material. And that's easy, that's perfect and quickly done. This is no question. But what happens when my curve goes exactly to the opposite side? Of course, you can try to do it with a magnet or with the guide on your foot, but you will find out very fast that it's quite difficult to really get it clean and tidy looking, because you attempt to get little folds into the material and it's just not going to be easy. So let's have a look. If I take the guide, I would start stitching in that position that you just saw. There again with my template, I will have to start on the other side because my needle should run along the template. So I take my template, put it even on the edge with my finished material edge, and now take my time and go slowly along the edge of my template, exactly the needle stitching next to the template. Try not to stitch into the template itself, but really go even along the edge. Again, take your time. You do not need to put the template all the way completely already along the edge. That's not necessary. Only in the part that you're just stitching at that particular time. That's where you should do this. And now there's something else in case if you realize your template keeps on moving all over the place. Well, that's okay, that can happen. But there's another little trick you can use that will not happen. I'm sure you can find somewhere in the garage or in your working shed some very fine sanding paper. So cut a small piece of sanding paper that you can fasten underneath your template so it's facing towards the material. And when you then put the template on top of your material, you will see it will never ever move again. It will lie in position exactly where you put it. And that is just so beautiful. And now look at this result. Isn't it lovely? Isn't it great? Because that's how you want it to look. That's how it should be. All the way even along, just because of this template and because of that it made my job so unbelievable easy. So I believe now you know why I asked what is better, a foot guide, a magnet, or a template. Well, the answer is you will need them all, because for different jobs you need different tools, and then you can work exactly good and right and easy. All right, but I promised I'll show you the same job on my household sewing machine. Not that you're going to say to me, well, that was easy on the industrial. But what about your Janome? How do you do it on there? And here as well you can see my foot guide, which I put on the machine already. And of course I could try to stitch it with this particular guide. But also here you can see right away I would not be able to get a real nice straight line. I would get a zigzags all over the place because you cannot just go around the curve correctly. So again, I will use my template, which I made especially for this. And as mentioned before, you don't need to put it all the way around directly into this position, into the curve. No, it's all right. Just for the first 5 or 10 centimeters. So you get a good start. And then as you go along, you will move your template in that position that it will run along your material, your edge, which is finished there. And then your needle exactly goes along the edge of the template. And you take your time and go slowly all the way around until you get to the end. See, there it's moving a little bit. That's what I explained earlier on to you. So put this little sandpaper on the back there, facing downwards to the material, then put it under your machine, and you will see it will stay so beautiful in position. and it will make your job so easy that you're going to say, how come nobody ever told me this before? Because it's worth gold. It's like a diamond that you got in your ring. And of course, also on this sewing machine, I occasionally, to go around a curve like this, have to lift the foot slightly to do a tiny movement towards the curve. Then don't forget, have your machine put in the position that when you stop, the needle is always stuck into the material, because that is the only way how you can keep in line with the next stitching. So that is also something very important, because on the good household sewing machines, I know you can set this if you want your needle to stay up when you stop or to be in the material. So set it that way that it will always stuck into the material, so you can easily lift the foot for 1/2 a stitch or something to continue in your curve. And now have a look at the result. I'm very happy with this, although I'm not a big fan of household sewing machines, but with this particular method, you can see anybody can get a nice and even seam on a relatively difficult curve. Well, my friends, that is it for today. That was my video for you to make some of your sewing so much easier. So I would kindly like to ask you, please give me a thumb up. Mainly, stay healthy, look into my videos again, and I would be very happy to read some of your comments. I say goodbye to all of you, no matter where in this world you're watching me from. Bye bye for now. From Germany, my name is Lilo.